Hello everyone, Dr. Mark here with you again to discuss how to get rid of chronic ear problems in dogs. There are always videos on here and on so many sites on the internet where people tell you, use this method and your dog's ear problems will clear up. I see this with skin problems too. Well, that is crazy. One method will work some of the time, but no method will work all of the time, which is why there are so many alternatives. Dogs are individuals, and there is not even a way to prevent all of their problems all of the time. If you want to stop most of their ear problems most of the time, you can use the simple cleaning and maintenance methods outlined in this article. They work, but there are no guarantees in life. If your dog continues to suffer from ear problems, you will need to consult your veterinarian, as some dogs will need a different program and may even need surgery to open the ear canal to normal airflow. All dogs have the potential to have ear problems, but since we have selected some breeds to have floppy ears and others to have floppy ears that are clogged with hair, those dogs are predisposed to problems. The glands in their ear canals become overactive, the skin becomes thick, and when they start producing more ear wax, the humidity makes a perfect place for yeast and bacteria to grow. Cleaning is the first thing you can do to avoid problems. If your dog never has problems, you do not need to do this. But then again, if your dog has never had problems, you would not be watching this video. Although some veterinarians and groomers recommend that ears not be cleaned periodically, in some cases, it is necessary and can prevent problems. My Labrador Retriever, for example, loves to swim in the irrigation ditches every morning, and her large, floppy ears are always moist and prone to yeast infections. To clean her ears a few days a week and prevent infection, I fill the ear canals with a 50-50 mixture of vinegar and water, massage the ear canals, by rubbing the side of her head, and then stand back and let her shake out the wax and vinegar. The vinegar breaks up the wax and kills bacteria and yeast, but if the ear is already inflamed, it will be painful, so this cleaner should only be used in a healthy dog. After finishing, you can wipe the inside of the ear flap with a cotton ball to clean up any wax that is not shaken out. Diet is the second most important way to avoid ear problems and is also important to avoid skin problems and more serious diseases like some forms of cancer. In a 2023 study, eating a meat-based whole food diet was shown to significantly decrease the risk of puppies developing ear infections later in life. Even a diet of dry dog food supplemented with over 25% whole food was enough to decrease the chance of developing ear infections. Unfortunately, there is still no research on whether a whole food diet will help reduce the incidence of ear infections in adult dogs. There is plenty of anecdotal evidence since we know when we change the diet there are fewer problems. It is one disease we may be able to prevent with diet, and not just treat with medications. An exclusion diet is necessary to help some, but not all dogs with ear problems. When ear infections are seen in a dog with an open ear and normal ear canal, like the German Shepherd, there is usually an underlying cause like a food allergy. There are usually additional signs, like itching, vomiting, and diarrhea. When dogs have an ear infection secondary to a food allergy, an exclusion diet can clear this problem up and keep the dog out of pain. You can read some articles on this, and I will include a video with a homemade recipe for a dog food made up with only one type of protein. Dogs are usually allergic to beef, chicken, milk products, and wheat, so the food needs to be made up with something the dog has not been eating. I recommend duck, but if the dog has been eating duck this will not work. None of the commercial foods are going to work. Grooming is also important for some, but not all dog breeds. This is important for some dog breeds and not for others. Dogs that do not shed, poodles, bichons, some poodle crosses like goldendoodles, and others, have excessive hair in the ear canals, and moisture is trapped in the canal. A groomer may pluck the hair every 4 to 6 weeks when the dog is groomed, but excessive plucking can lead to more ear infections, so for sensitive dogs, just clipping the ear canal hairs with scissors is enough to increase the airflow. Dogs with floppy ears, especially if the ear flaps are heavy, are more likely to develop ear infections, as the ear canals are dark and are not exposed to the air. One method to improve airflow is to tie the ears back after cleaning so the ears have a chance to dry out. You can do this by hand or use a special tape that holds the ears back longer. Medications are the last way to treat an ear infection once and for all. There are medications that are used for treating active infections and other steroid and antifungal medications that are prescribed to prevent new infections. In most cases, cleaning and identifying the underlying cause is enough, but some dogs will have recurrent infections no matter which of the steps I outlined above is done. In March of 2024, a new medication, Duotic, was approved by the FDA to prevent inflammation and new yeast infections for 45 days. It was promoted as a miracle drug that would prevent chronic recurrent ear infections once and for all. An article was published in late 2024 that showed that this medication could be absorbed and cause systemic problems like panting, vomiting, diarrhea, and even behavioral changes in some dogs. There are no miracle cures. You should stick with the older cures that usually work. Some dogs do respond to ear cropping since, after the surgery, the ears are erect, the ear canals are open, and they have increased airflow. Surgery is usually a treatment option of last resort, however. For dogs with chronic ear infections that no longer respond to medications, there is an ear ablation surgery where the ear canal is totally removed. All ear infections are secondary to something else. It may be anatomy like floppy ears and heavy pinna, it may be swimming combined with those floppy ears, or it may be a food or environmental allergy. Your veterinarian can prescribe medication to clear up the current infection, but it is going to be up to you to keep your dog's ears clean and dry so that you can prevent the infection from coming back. Thanks for watching. If you have a dog with chronic ear problems, please leave a comment and let us know what has worked for your dog. If you have any other health problems and need help, you can contact me at my Ask a Vet column at yourpetsathome.com. Please include your dog's age, sex, and breed, as well as the results of any tests you have had done. Be as complete as possible with your question. The more details you provide, the more likely we will be able to provide you with an answer that will help.